So, Kev, I'm interested, Kev, as a young Kevin Apollo, what were you watching? What were your favorite things to watch as a kid?
Dude, so when I was, so I'm an '80s baby. I'm an '80s
Same.
baby. So so I didn't have cable until like I think like 88, 89.
Ooh.
But my grandparents always had it. So whenever I slept with my grandparents, I would always watch NWA. I would TBS. So I watch World Championship Wrestling in the morning, and then Saturday night.
Right.
And then when I was home, cause my dad was a cop, so my mom was always conked out, but it depended on what time my dad was going to come home. I would stay up and watch WCW Power Hour. And it came on like a local, if you're a New Yorker, CBS at like 1 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes I think it may have even been later. I watched WWF Superstars, Raw, all that stuff. I cried when Vader beat up Gorilla Monsoon. And then someone told me about this thing called ECW. And I was like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
I finally found it, and I was like, oh my God, this is the greatest. This is the worst / greatest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Best worst thing ever.
Yes.
But you find it at 3 a.m.
2 o'clock in the morning on MSG.
Okay, that's what we watched it in Buffalo. Yes.
Hey, I live here in
MSG.
Phoenix. It came through here on a Spanish channel. You had to like listen for because they didn't like mute the English commentary. They just dubbed Spanish over it, so you could kind of hear Joey Styles sometimes. But I still watch. That's how I had to watch it over here in Arizona. Yeah, it's great though. I loved it. It's on channel 33, the Spanish channel. At I think it was midnight or 1 a.m. It was awesome.
I watch Glow.
Nice.
I love WoW. WoW was one of my favorite. It was Destination TV for me in 2001. I was like, we were eating so well in 2001. I was like, because I watched all the syndicated shows too. Like I just couldn't get enough. And then I was friends with tape traders. So in order to get new stuff, I can't tell you how many times I've watched the first 6 episodes of Nitro because I had 4 VCRs.
Wow.
So I had to when I went away to college because I needed to watch Raw and Nitro, and my first roommate was a hockey player. He was a hockey player from Boston, so we had to also make room for hockey.
Right.
So we had 2 TVs set up. We had 2 TVs set up, but 3 VCRs just in case there was some kind of overlap. Because we also had to make room for Monday Night Football every once in a blue moon. And when I was home, I had to bring all my stuff with me. So, okay, you got 4 VCRs. I need you to make copies of all these tapes for me. This guy needs the first 5 episodes of Nitro. And I wanted to vomit. I still get chills if I wind up putting on YouTube and one of the first 5 episodes of Nitros, I'm like, I can't do this still. But
That's awesome.
it was everything. I couldn't get enough of it, especially like when RF video was new and like all that Cactus Jack Terry Funk stuff came out. The Tiger Jeet Singh sword spot, through the tights, but it was through the legs. Oh my God,
Yeah.
And then one of my favorite things I got my hands on, and I'm so mad because I lost it. I found the guy on eBay who sold me a bunch of Memphis tapes.
Oh.
So I saw like one of my favorite finishes of all time was Lawler versus Tatum. And it was a loser leaves town match. Lawler loses. So they go through the big thing of showing Lawler drive out to the, to the edge of Memphis and he leaves the town. Yep. And then the very next night he comes back out and he attacks Tatum live on the set and he's like, you're not supposed to be here. And Lawler's like, it was a loser leaves town match. I left town.
Yeah.
What did you think was going to happen? They're like, it was just stuff like that. Or like, you can see like I was like, because like you saw like they did all this hardcore stuff. Like we're talking like a whole decade before ECW.
Right.
Like, so like I watched the Rock and Roll Express like going through tables, like being pile driven through tables, and I love the Memphis Cage, which was just the chicken wire. I'm like, I loved all that stuff, man. I'm serious. I just love wrestling. So like, ESPN, so I'm watching Global Force and all that stuff. I just love it, man. again, I didn't really know what the indies were until way later. Actually, my first indie match was actually Crowbar versus a guy named Johnny Thunder, who I would later become very good friends with, a guy who was just super talented, super duper talented, man. And it's fun. You know what I mean? Like, it's just fun to watch. Like, if it comes across and like, you see some straight garbage, you're like, all right, let's see how bad this match can get.
Right.
Like, who doesn't remember watching the Jumpin' Jeff Farmer, Motley Bruise, promo for the first time? I love that crap, man. Like, it's just fun. There is no entertainment form, like wrestling.
Yeah.
It can be the goofiest thing or sometimes the scariest thing ever. I wrote an entire college essay on the Jake the Snake, uses the snake to bite Macho Man.
Oh wow.
Incident.
Right.
The the feedback I got from the teacher was, I used to love wrestling. You brought me back. Thank you. This paper was a lot of fun.
What they give you as a grade?
And I think it was like for a mass communication thing.
What'd you get for a grade?
I got an A on it. I got an A on it.
If you're bringing somebody back to it, you've got it. They better give you an A on that. That's exactly what else you asked for.
Yeah, it's so funny thing is my freshman year, the school I went to, my advisor, my student advisor, was a brand new student advisor when Mick Foley was there.
Oh wow!
And he was also a communications teacher. So we wound up watching the Foley Hunter Hearst Helmsley match in Big Blue as a means of effective communication for storytelling. And I'm like, I love this stuff. I feel like I can't get away from it. So I'm just gonna embrace it and love it. Even the gym I went to, before I realized that we went to the same school, and that we lived in the same town, because when I first knew him, he was, so much smaller. But, the wrestler Paul Enormous, he was, in The Wrestler, passed away a few years ago. We become good friends, but like he was friends with Little Guido and a bunch of other wrestlers, and it's like, wow, like, you guys all go to my gym? That's cool. Like, it's like there's always like these weird little connects. The person who broke me into the business.
That's the next question I was going to ask. Actually, was how you got into the business.
So my old high school football coach, he was a wrestler called Scotty Charisma. He used to wrestle for Jim Kettner. He did he was like an ECW tournament, all that other stuff. And I'd come home from college, and I was like, I just didn't know what to do with myself. So I got a job working in an IBM, and it was like a customer liaison thing where, like, it was before cloud computing. Mm-hmm. So, like, the companies was in their data tapes, and they would do their testing and stuff like that. So, like, it was like a continuity recovery service, what they called it. So, I was either super busy or not busy at all. So I had a little stretch where I just didn't have anything to do. So I would put the TV on really low in the back, and, just kind of let it play. And then I would just fart around the internet. And somehow I came to this page of this, I think I typed in like local wrestling. I put in my zip code. And, so my gym teacher's page came. Oh, so it just said ScottyCharisma.com. Like, oh, let me click on this. I'm scrolling through it, old school GeoCity site.
So trying to visualize, and it's and for everybody out there, it's taking a minute or two each time he's connecting to a page. Like, he's got to sit there and wait. And It's got to load, or it's like loading down on the screen. Yeah, I was born in 1982, so I'm right there with you. I grew up right in that same time frame.
So I get to the bottom of the page, and the picture finally loads. I'm like, oh my god, that's Scotty. That's my football coach. So I I sent him an email through his website. Like 6 months goes by. He finally saw it and got back to me. And then he had me take a ride down, and we go down to the school. And, the day we go down, they were just coming back from a trip to the Carolinas. And, so it was like the promoter Gino Caruso, Little Guido, bunch of the guys who were down there. I don't know if you guys ever talked to like Andy Anderson, or Andrew Anderson, who's he used to travel. He's a guy who's just kind of been around forever. He had an M&M's commercial. He used to travel like with Sullivan and Beefcake and those guys a lot. So they're coming back from the Carolinas, and they're all talking about how they were throwing sticks of dynamite in the pond with Moondog spot. Because they decided they wanted to go fishing. And I'm like listening to these stories. I'm like, what is this? This is real life. Like wrestlers really do this stuff, and then in walks Simon Diamond, and I'm like, what is going on? So I'm like 19. I'm 20. I'm like 20. I'm marking out. I think it's like the greatest thing ever. So I'm just sitting there, just waiting for someone to come talk to me. Finally, the promoter walks over, and he pops because I'm not anywhere near as big as I was now, but a decent size for 420. And he tells me how much it is, and I'm like, okay, sir, I'll be right. I'll be back in a couple of months. So I go to work and I get 2 jobs, start saving, and then I get my tax return. And as soon as I cash that check, I drove down and I paid my tuition.
Nice.
And then I debuted the weekend of WrestleMania 20, which was awesome.
Yes.
At that show, Tito Santana was on that show. And his brother was traveling with him. So I have my first match. Dreamer's there. We're not supposed to know the Dreamer's there because he's very much under contract, but he was there to see Danny Doring. So it was like during Easy Money, before people could not track down Easy Money anymore because he's just, people were still getting their gear. It was before Easy Money decided to stop making people's gear, but kept taking their money. A few other guys were on there. And so I get finished my match and I come up and Tito's brother walks up and goes, "That was your first match?" I'm like, yeah, sir. He's like, "What did you think?" He's like, "Oh, not kidding. Like you moved like a pro and you carry yourself really well in the locker room. That's really cool, man. I appreciate it." So it brings me over. We get to sit down and talk with Tito. Honky Tonk Man was there. So I popped for Honky Tonk Man because I would see him 1,000 more times. And Honky Tonk Man in the locker room was always entertaining. But
I'm sure.
Oh, dude, so many Honky Tonk stories. But Honky Tonk goes, "What? They put me up in a Hilton. Ain't no one ever put me up in a Hilton before. This town is pretty nice." So spend the rest of the night talking to Tito and his brother, and then it's Sunday. We're heading to the Garden with my friends for WrestleMania 20. And while I'm standing on line, I hear a door open because we're kind of lined up in the back, and I hear, "Young man, come here." Pick my head up, and it's Tito. It's Tito and his brother. They're like, "Come here." Like, you're going in for the show? And I'm like, yeah. All right, come and follow me. He lets me and my friends through the back.
Wow.
Gave us like a quick little tour.
Nice.
And then we got to our seats a whole 45 minutes before everybody else did.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
So it's like that's just kind of like this, some of the most fun stuff I've met tremendous friends, absolutely tremendous friends, had some really cool adventures because of wrestling. So, my mindset, it's like one of my last matches. It was like this weird. We were in a high school, and it was like a weird 10-man tag. But I got the tag. It was me, Slaughter, Hacksaw, a wrestler named Rocky Jones, and like one other person. I can't remember who it was. Oh no, sorry, it was Snuka.
Oh, Jesus.
Against Nikolai.
Oh, it was Snuka, he says. Sorry.
Yeah, I know. I couldn't, because it was. Well, I think because it was because he wasn't supposed to be in the match. So it was Nikolai. It was Nikolai and a bunch of Russians in masks.
Russians in air quotes.
Russians, air quotes Russians.
Yeah, right.
A bunch of guys in masks and Nikolai and one other guy. And so we're going through the match, and I'm the one. I'm just taking all the heat. So I'm bumping my ass off. I'm feeding. I'm wherever I need to be. And when the match is done, Sarge goes, "Hey kid, you move great. You got a lot of experience. How long you been doing this?" I'm like, "Oh, I just like 6 years, sir." "Oh, that's awesome. Take my card. Tell Mark Bob said the call." And I'm like, "Who's Mark?" "Jesus, you don't know who Mark Carano is?" I'm like, No. I was like, "Well, here it is. Just tell him I told you to call. We need guys like you." So I called. I mean, we're gonna be in the area in 6 months. Right around then, I wanted to do a camp with Nova. So Nova was like, "No, dude, you did great. I was gonna tell you right now, if you're gonna go do this, you should drop like 15, 20 pounds if you can do it. Trust me, they'll be happy if you did it." I picked a very bad personal trainer. She blew up both my rotator cuffs, damaged my ulnar nerve. And I was kind of like about it for a very long time because it just, for whatever reason, took me forever to recover. But they didn't know that we had that the ulnar nerve damage was as bad as it was. So like I was just not recovering. I'm like, I some people just get like mean and grumpy about crap. I'm like, listen, that's just life.
Yeah.
I got so much from wrestling. Like wrestling owes me nothing. I owe wrestling a lot of things because again, the wonderful friends I've made. So that's why, like, when I started doing ACW, it was more to let the younger kids kind of get a different kind of experience because they weren't really teaching you the basic information needed to know how to work TV. Like it was a lot of spot shows, like how to do things with continuity. But I wanted kids to be able to have a place where they could make mistakes and not have to worry about if they were going to be invited back,
Right.
because everybody's got to eat a little shit sometimes, So that's like that. That was just my way of kind of giving back, and it's been a lot of fun because we managed to do a lot of big mall shows, which weren't happening in my area really ever, so we started some cool trends, and I got to do a quick interview on Fightful a year ago, and like it's been a lot of really fun, cool stuff, and then eventually got me over to Marv with Toonie Town, which then eventually got me over to the DW Pro, and having fun with those guys. It just kind of, like, I would have never been able to foresee that I'd be spending like a Sunday night, talking to you guys about about my nerdy little habit,
It's just great hearing your enthusiasm.
Yeah,
for
I love it.
That's so awesome to hear. I do love it as well.